Hey guys, thank you for locking into my video. Today I'll be taking my client through a one level all around, which will be, as I'll start off with a 1.7 going with the grain, all around, shape up, take off all the beard but keep the moustache. A 1.7 gauge on the clipper, and I'm going with the grain. For those who continuously ask me what is going with the grain is simply going in the direction that the hair grows in. So if you comb someone's hair out, you can gauge and see what direction the hair is growing in. I always say that it's better to do less than to do too much. Meaning, if you're not sure what level the client wants their hair, then it's better to go higher than to go too low. So just start off on a higher gauge. Make sure, guys, when you're cutting someone's hair, to be continuously combing out their hair. Now, I'm not saying that, every stroke you should comb someone's hair out, so I'm not saying that you should go, no, but just to make sure you're combing it out. So I've done it all around now at a 1.7 going with the grain, and now I'll just ask my client if he's happy with this level, or would you like it lower?
I want the sides lower, please.
But the top is cool.
The top is cool, sides a little bit lower.
So he's happy with the top, but he wants the sides to be a little bit lower, basically meaning he doesn't want it faded, he just wants it to be a bit more flat on the sides. So technically you would say that this isn't all the same level all around, but technically
it's not.
It's not, but it might still give off that same image because he just wants the sides a little bit flatter. So I'm taking the 1 gauge and I've opened one. So basically it's basically a 1.5, you could say. And I'm just going to go over it on the sides and just flatten the sides. So now, guys, we have it basically at the level which he wants. The only issue I would say now is it technically is the level he wants now, but that doesn't mean that the haircut is over. Because if we look around here, I don't know if you can see it clearly on the camera, I just feel like around here is just not smooth. So it means that I'm going to have to end up giving it some type of fade. Now this fade won't be prominent to be noticed to be a fade or anything like that, but it's actually more so what I'm trying to do is just to smoothen out the hair. So I'm just flicking at the hair so I can make this area on the side just look a lot more smoother. So you don't have to bring it low, really taper it or anything like that. But I'm just looking at the areas and just thinking, there are some areas where there's darker patches of hair and things like that. So I'm just trying to make it a lot smoother, so it just look like a more of a smooth one level. And another thing which is very important is just to go over it, especially at this level. There'll be loads of hairs that are sticking up. So So the more you go over it, the more straight hairs you will catch, the smoother you'll make that person's hair look. So just like the more you go over it. So right now I use a 1.7 on top, and I've got the 1.5 now. And I'm not going fully down on it, I'm just kind of just scraping the top of it. And all this is doing is literally just catching the stray hairs at the top. There's other ways to do this. You can, you know, use scissors. I can take this off, the gauge off, and just smooth over it like this, which is a technique a lot of people use. I sometimes use this, sometimes I use scissors. I just use different techniques, but these are just the techniques you can use. When you're doing this, you've got to be very careful as well. Like, you know, so make sure, you know, you haven't got a client that probably moves that much, because if you have this off and you're going over someone's hair and they move, then what would happen now is I would just put a patch in his head. So, you know, if you're gonna do that technique, guys, make sure you haven't got a client in the chair that moves a lot. And if he does or she does, then it's best to use another technique. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. So if you can kind of see that, guys, you can see it actually is slightly lower on the sides here. But the purpose for doing that is because it's just very patchy around here. So it's better to slightly bring it lower, and you could say slightly fade it, than to just, you know, have it looking patchy. That's not good. Basically, you're just trying to make that person leave with a good haircut, and not only leave with a good haircut, but leave happy. So when you're shaping up someone, guys, I guess important first of all is make sure your tools are right, what you're using, because you don't have a blunt blade and having to be struggling to cut, you know, the person's hair. And you probably don't want it too sharp, or you can have it sharp, but if you're going to have it very, very sharp, you've got to be very careful that you don't cut them and scar them. But the idea, guys, when you're shaping up someone is just to remember, I always say this, guys, and I always want to stress this, that you are cutting hair. You are not cutting their skin. You are not trying to mark their skin. It's hair. So be careful, take it easy, don't press down so hard. You're only trying to cut their hair and not the skin. Also, the technique I generally use is when I cut, I pull away. So I put the clipper down and I pull away. Now I'm over exaggerating it right now, guys, I don't do it like that to that extent, but pull away, pull away, pull away. Even when you're shaving, guys, as well, just make sure that you're not going over it too hard, because you're only cutting hair. Let the clippers do the work. So just lightly go over it. Can you see his face? He's relaxed. He doesn't feel like he's not being hurt or anything like that. So just take the time and just, you know, shave. You know, you're allowed to put a bit of pressure when you're cutting someone's hair. But I guess if you were a beginner, as example, I'll just say be very light. It might take a bit longer to shave someone, as example, especially when it's that stubble, but it's better than scarring them or hurting your client. So I'm just being very light. As you can see, the hair is come off. It's on the side of his head. This is going to be like an arc. I'm going to basically think of it like when you're shaping up someone, cutting someone's hair, make sure that you've got it visualized in your head the way you want it to look. If you haven't got it visualized in your head, it's going to be hard to create something. It's just like being a painter or artist, or so you're drawing something and you can't visualize what you want to draw. If you can't visualize what you want to draw, then you don't know what you want to achieve. So right now, I want to create a curve coming from here to here. So, and I visualize that in my head the way I want it to be. So I comb it out. I comb it out, and then like a pencil, using the edge of the clipper, guys. Using basically one side, going lightly with it. I kind of just keep tapping it. So I'm gonna, so you guys can see clearly what I'm doing, I'm gonna over exaggerate. What I'm doing is this. Pull. And just touching it and bringing it out. But I'm doing it in a lot smaller movements, so I'm just kind of touching it like that. See, do you see that, guys? And see what I've created? So what I'm doing again, just so as an over exaggeration of it, I'm touching, bringing it out. But I'm not bringing it that far out, it's just little bits, it's little. I'm just being very light. If you see the client in the chair, the client doesn't feel any pain, he is comfortable, he's fine, and we've created a line. I'm not having to press down hard on his head or anything like that. Then with the front, it's just the same thing. You can get a picture. With the front, it's just the same thing. What I would always advise people, first of all, to do is when you're going to shape up someone, just stay on the edge. Like, I'm not going to, like, I know what I'm doing now, but especially when you're learning, stay right on the edge. And it's the same, it's always the same method. Just touch it. You're not cutting skin, you're cutting hair. Bring out. Press down, pull out, press down, pull out, press down, pull out. But I would always say stay on the edge. Right on the edge at first, guys, and then look at it afterwards. Once you shaped it all up, look at it afterwards, and then think to yourself, okay, it needs to be a bit sharper here. This side needs to come up a little bit. This side, you know, whatever it is, guys, but you know, you understand what I'm saying? The neck is very sensitive, guys. Very, very sensitive. So be very light on it. And just, I keep saying this in this video, guys, but remember you're cutting hair. So when you're shaping him up, especially on the neck, just be trying to cut the hair and not the skin. When going over the ear, a bunch different barbers have different techniques. I kind of keep it this kind of on the line it's on. There are some barbers who like the line around the ear to be very defined, so they bring it a bit higher. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm not saying it's right, it's just different technique, guys. You know, different people have different techniques, what they feel looks better. I just keep it kind of on the edge. What do you think about the shape up? What do you think about the haircut? So one level, all around. I need to fade out the back a little bit more. I'm going to shave him now, shape up his moustache, and then move on to my next client who is waiting and needs to go to work. So, thank you for looking in, guys. You have been in the cut with Slider Cuts. Please subscribe, share, like, leave your comments on the video. Let me know what you think of it, if it's been helpful, if it hasn't been helpful. Either way, I don't mind, guys. Criticism is all good as long as it's constructive. Whether it's positive or negative, it's all positive. Thank you. You've been in the cut with SliderCuts. See you next time. Subscribe to that channel.